Hey everyone, it's Kellen Brauer with RacerX back again. Another race examination coming at you from East Rutherford, where it was a muddy, mucky mess. And Chase Sexton's actually going to get the whole shot in the 450 main event, but it's not going to last long, and it's not going to last long for him being up in the front mix either, because Justin Barcia is going to come down the inside in the second corner, block Sexton's line from the outside. Roxon's going to jump up the inside. Roxon goes to the race lead. Then Barcia, getting pushed high by Roxon, gets pushed out a little bit, so Sexton goes back by him. But then it all comes to a little bit of a crescendo here going through this rhythm section, where Barcia goes down the inside of Sexton in this corner and gives him a little bit of a bump, and down he goes. So actually what I wanted to highlight here is a couple things about this. If we actually go back just a little bit to back here, and you come into this corner and you see Sexton, he's going to go all the way to the outside right here. Barcia goes all the way to the inside. Now Barcia's going where there are no real established ruts, and Chase on the first lap here is going outside because he feels the only way to get away from the field is to double this jump, and he doesn't assume that someone's going to knife down the inside and block him like Barcia is. So Barcia blocks him, Roxon jumps up the inside, he's able to steal the lead away. And where I feel like Sexton maybe is reading the situation a little bit wrong is he's seeing the aggression in which Barcia is riding on this first lap of the race, and he just passed Justin back right there going across the start straight. Now again, coming into this corner, you got Roxon and Sexton going to the outside line here, which is really where the only established lines are. There's a few guys at the end of the 250 main event that were going in through the water right here, but not many. So Barcia jumping down the inside right here, almost you have to feel like it's going to be expected based on the way that he charged into the second corner of the main event and now how he's charging into this corner. So Sexton, even though he tries to stop coming out of this corner, tries to get on the brakes, there's nowhere to go. He's already in this rut. There's nowhere for him to go, and he just hits Barcia's rear tire and goes down. But as many people said, oh, is that too aggressive for Barcia? It's also maybe just a little bit bad race awareness there by Sexton, not realizing how interested Barcia was at the beginning of this race in trying to get to the front, because the last thing you want to do in a mud race is get your goggles splashed, get your hands wet, get all dirty like that early in the race. And Barcia's a smart mud rider, a good mud rider, and he wanted to go to the front immediately. So that's why I feel a little bit here Chase maybe read the situation wrong, and Barcia took full advantage to go around him and get out front a little bit early on, hopefully not get caught up too much in the mud, and then Chase ends up further back. Want to pause right here early on in this main event because Ken Roxon's leading. He's coming into this corner. Look at how muddy and ridiculous this is. Obviously, there's a lot of freestanding water in this main event, but you can see just how, sloshy some of these lines are. There's a few, kind of drier spots where they've dug into the dirt a little bit, but it's not like it's a dry area of the track whatsoever, which makes it all the more impressive that early in this main event, these guys are still, in this situation, Roxon going double, triple onto this table, and look at, he's going to bunny hop off of this table amidst slosh and just a bunch of slick track and surface, and still be able to jump off of this table and get down into transition. I feel like stuff like that is really underappreciated with what these guys are doing early on in the main event. And clear track helps, but again, it's just one of those situations that it's impossible to overstate how good these guys are in all conditions. Barcia uses the same technique that he did on Sexton early in the main event to get around Roxon late in the main event, and then immediately start sprinting away. And it's basically the same thing right here. It's almost as if Barcia realized what he had done early on. I mean, there's no real defense for this, because if you're Roxon, there's a guy in the inside line right here that kind of blocked him from even trying to shut the door. But if you do shut the door and Barcia sees you go to this line that Barcia's taking, Barcia can just go to the outside, get a better drive, and out-drag you through the whoops. So anybody that was close in these situations was always going to be vulnerable to this type of passing opportunity, and Barcia goes right to the top of the berm. Doesn't give Kenny too much room, but unlike Sexton, doesn't actually hit him, so it's not really a contact situation, but able to sneak around him. Go away from Roxon, takes the goggles off on the last lap, still saves him, but this is the first win of the season for Barcia, his second win with Gas. It's been a while, but it feels like it's been a long time coming, because he has looked so good late down the stretch right here. Even does a pretty cool little burnout. We don't often see these type of burnouts. Sometimes they just, stand it up against the wall and burn it out, but get a little bit of slow-mo action from Tom Journet's camera right here as you see him just sliding it through all the mud, sliding it on the plywood. And I thought this was also a little bit funny right here. Cooper Webb, who had gotten lapped by Barcia, ended up finishing 5th in this race, has to avoid basically the celebration to get around Barcia, and he's just like, I am so done with this night, with this main event, with everything. Now I have to try to walk around Barcia as he celebrates his first win of the season. So funny little situation right there, but good job on Barcia getting that win. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Use the code RACERX, that's RACERX, for 20% off
when you download the onX app today.
Let's talk some 250 stuff, which of course started off right before their main event. The weather came into play. The lightning in the area delayed all of the activities, and Joe Shimoda's like, are you kidding me, man? I was really good early on in the night. Now I got to race in the mud. I don't want to do this. So then once we go racing, about an hour and a half later, it goes right into Slosh Fest. These guys had no parade lap, no warm-up, no idea what the track looks like, and I wanted to highlight how awesome Max Vohland and Max Anstie are in this first straightaway to go from cold, just sitting there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, waiting to figure out if they're going to race, to doing the first rhythm section like they pretty much had been doing it all night long. I mean, I know that, you know, this is about the best the track is going to be. It's smooth, it's well put together, but the fact that they go right out there and immediately go to this level of aggression, sloshing through the puddles and everything like that, pretty impressive stuff. And then they kind of battled back and forth a little bit. Anstie's able to hold on to the advantage, but then you just see, I mean, look at this stuff from Tom Journet's camera, how just ridiculous the rain was and how much water was standing on the track and how sloshy it was. And then Haiden Deegan just absolutely sending it into this corner. Like, everyone else is taking it pretty easy, but Deegan, he's just coming flying in here. He's just throwing mud up into the corner, laying it in right there. And Haiden was actually one of the fastest riders on the track for a lot of the race. He ended up crashing at one point, though, so we'll get into that in a second. But, I mean, he was clearly absolutely flying and throwing a little bit of caution to the wind, which ended up biting him. As you can see right here, he's going to go down the inside trying to pass Hunter Lawrence at this early stage of the race. And it's about halfway through the main event right here and kind of goes through the water and goes down. And so RJ Hampshire says, I just want to do the same thing. I'm going to do that same exact move on Jett Lawrence on the last lap. I'm going to take him down, take myself down. We're going to end up upside down in the berm right here, and Jett Lawrence is going to ride over me. And then it's a huge three-rider battle for the podium spot suddenly. But, I mean, Hampshire, this is just an absolute send. I mean, he was already going down. Let's see. He's, probably by there already going down. You can see the front tire starting to kind of like knife in just a little bit right there. And then as we get a little bit deeper, I mean, now he's definitely going down. Like, this is no chance of making the corner, and we haven't even touched the berm yet. He's just in the puddle at this point in time. Lays it down. He's literally on the ground by this point in time, and then Jett Lawrence just gets absolutely surfed over here by this wave just coming in and sloshing him into the corner. And then just out of nowhere, I mean, this is actually pretty impressive that Hampshire is able to slide his front wheel right into where Jett Lawrence's front tire is. Lawrence gets his front tire stuck in there, and pretty fortunate that Lawrence's bike didn't get stuck in this little area between the front tire and frame and stuff of Hampshire's bike, because it would have been really hard to get out. But another thing that didn't really get talked about much right here is as Lawrence is pulling himself off, you have Max Vohland coming in. He's in fourth place at the moment. This is second and third down in the corner. Hunter Lawrence is right back here. You got a track worker trying to get out of the way, and Vohland is almost going to get second right here. And because he has to go around the outside of Anstie and get slowed up in this corner, Hunter Lawrence slides underneath Anstie, gets right through to the inside, and steals Max Vohland's first podium finish right from out underneath of him right there. I mean, the many different ways that could go in the last corner. Vohland going from basically fourth to fourth is about the weirdest situation of that whole thing. But he ends up finishing just off of the podium. The Lawrence brothers get on the podium together. And then they come through here and share in all the fun with Max Anstie getting his first career 250 main event. 14 years in the making. Really cool to see for Anstie, and really good ride right there. And even Vohland, even though he gets fourth, he's still giving the knuckles to everybody. He's having a good time, but Anstie clearly having the best time. Really cool to see Max get a win. And now, hopefully, we don't have more mud this weekend coming up in Nashville.